Hi, I am Jenny Evans, and I have the pleasure of curating Sacred Space for your elementary kiddos on the first Sunday of every month. And we thought it would be a great idea just to tell you guys a little bit of the history of Sacred Space and then walk you through what a Sacred Space Sunday looks like. Hopefully this will encourage you all to maybe make a little bit of sacred space in your own homes for both you and your kids. So we started doing sacred space in the high school. We were briefly dabbling and doing a little bit there. There wasn't a designated time or a space for it though. So when we got the building and we're renovating this building that we are here, it was the leadership felt like having our own sacred space room and kind of a set rhythm to sacred space would be a really beautiful thing to offer the children. So this actually, fun fact, this was the original sacred space sign, and this was the original sacred space room. And at the time, because the space is obviously much smaller than the A-frame, at the time we were staggering the kids in groups of 3 and spending about 20 minutes each doing sacred space with the different stations. I did want to make mention, and it really touches my heart every time I walk by this room, but if you had a child that was in elementary school when we first were moving into the building, we had the kids write prayers all over these walls, whatever they wanted to write, however many prayers they wanted to write. And we wanted to do that and then paint over it so that their prayers would always be sealed in these walls. So I thought you guys might like to know that. I am going to walk you through what a Sacred Space Sunday looks like. And again, we do it on the first Sunday of every month. And the kids, after being dismissed, will come down. They'll take off their shoes. Everyone takes off their shoes. And this is just kind of a way for them to begin to prepare themselves for entering into sacred space. They'll walk in one at a time as I greet everyone, and they know, they just come in and they walk down the path, and then they just sit at the bottom of those stairs, and then they wait for me to come into the room. So they'll come down, they'll meet at the bottom of these stairs. And I sit right here, and we spend a little bit of time just preparing them. So the first thing that we know to do is that we will light the Christ candle. And this is to signify the light within us and the light that is surrounding us. The kids know, they come in and we talk quietly. We walk slowly. I do not do anything else but set up the room and let them know when it's time to switch to the different stations. And it's been this really remarkable thing of how they can immediately, all of the kids can connect into the sacred space rhythm. Being away from the phones and noise and some quiet time. When they come in, we have lavender that is up at the front of the room. We'll have a candle, an incense candle that's being lit. Sometimes I use essential oils that I will spray in the room so they immediately know when they come in from sacred space. It smells different, it looks different, it's slower. So we'll spend a little bit of time, and I tell them just set aside the busyness maybe of your morning, set aside any plans that you have for the afternoon, set all that aside and just be here and be present. And then we'll go through just a few breathing exercises where they know to inhale and exhale out. Sometimes I'll have just the kids lie down if they feel comfortable with that. If they feel comfortable, I always invite them. You can close down your eyes if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, that's fine too. And sometimes we'll have them put one hand on their heart and the other hand on their belly and just become aware of their breath. So we spend a little bit of time transitioning. Then we'll go about, and they spend about 7 minutes at each station. So after that transition, just kind of preparing again their minds and their bodies for the sacred space experience, I will sound and I'll ring the bowl 3 times, and that lets them know that it's time to go to the stations. And you would think that it might be complete chaos, them trying to get to wherever they want to go, but it's this really remarkable thing that I do not have the words to describe it. How when they are here and they have really prepared themselves, and they will walk calmly, and everybody will find the place that they need to be at. And then besides the music that's playing in the background, it's completely silent for the entire time your kids are down here in the sacred space experience. So with that, I'm gonna walk you guys around to the different stations that we have as a suggestion for you all to different materials that maybe you can use that resonate with your family, and just some ideas. Over the course of the years that we have been doing this, I cannot tell you how many parents have come up and said, my child has since created a sacred space room in our home, in the bedroom closet, in a corner of the kitchen, in a rec room if they have the rec room. And it's just a really beautiful thing to bear witness to and to hear about, because we all want to be plugged in and connected to the Holy Spirit. And with that, usually there are 4 of these sand bins, and typically I'll just have 1 or 2 objects in here that they can use to keep it pretty simple. And the sandboxes are a huge hit. The kids love them, and they just play in the sand. The beautiful thing about sacred space is there's no outcomes, there's no lesson plans. It is a multi-sensory experience is what your kids are getting. Sometimes I'll give them a little bit of a directive at the beginning. Perhaps, where do you feel God's presence the most? Where is there something that you need to let go of? But over the years of doing this, I've learned that the less I say, the more it can be a really individual experience for your kid, and maybe there's something in their heart that they kind of want to work through while they are here, or maybe they just really love kind of the absence of being inundated with so much stimuli that they just want to play in the sand for the entire time, and that's okay too. So that is one station that's super popular. Another station is the coloring station, and we use colored pencils, and we use gel markers for this station, and or gel pens. We do not use markers or crayons. So these are 2 books that you can get on Amazon that I would highly recommend. And just a good set of colored pencils. The gel pens are lovely. They have a lot of pigment to them, and they can get, if your kids are a little older. So this first one here, you can just kind of see some of the designs. They're a little more basic. And again, the kids really love this station. In this particular book, and she has several of them out, she's pretty well known, they get a little more detailed in design. And I personally love to do coloring myself, and will spend, since the stay-at-home order has happened, I've probably been coloring about an hour every day. You can just really get into this rhythm of it. So these are just some suggestions for you all. So this is another station. Usually about 7 or 8 kids are at this station. With the sand stations, we have 4 bins, and it's 1 child at a bin at a time. Here is the water art station, and you can get these on Amazon, Target, and the kids just paint, and they know to take their time with this painting, because if they went through, it takes a while for it to disappear. And I have seen some gorgeous, remarkable things that your kids have done with this water art. It's pretty incredible. We have 2 other boards, so when we switch out, I bring in fresh boards for the next group to have. So that is the water art. This station, 3 to 4 kids, kind of depending, they come in. And these are relatively new. This is just sand in a base, kind of like a Zen garden. And these are just sand stamps. And I think maybe because it's new, the kids really, they like to come in and create and do designs with this. In these plastic bins, this stuff's really fun. It's magnetic sand, and again, kind of that whole multi-sensory experience with the textures and the way it feels. The kids can really get into this for sure. So that's kind of the magnetic sand. This is kind of the sand, another smaller sand station. This is kind of the newest station that we have incorporated, and this is super fun. So it is, again, another form of black magnetic sand, and you can kind of dig in the sand, play with these little things. This is kind of fun. So that's that station. And then this is the centering station. And it's interesting, as the kids progress up, this station becomes more popular with the older kids. And so there's enough, obviously, for 3. And usually we'll have a candle in front of each. And then they just take an object from this basket. This feather, this well-loved feather, is a favorite of the kids. I've seen them, again, silently, but pretending they're a bird, or, you know, waving it back and forth. For a while, we didn't have the candles in front of the thing because some of the kiddos would like to, you know, kind of dangle it over the lit candle. So we stopped doing that for a little while. There are some pictures. These are just some prayer balls, some crosses, just a little bit of nature brought in. These are some pictures that I have taken. I do want to show this particular picture in general. This is something that the kids created. So on the first Sunday before Easter, we have kind of created this living, a living station where there'll be candles, and I'll bring in a ton of flowers and just all sorts of as much things, as much objects from nature that I can grab a hold of. And then there'll be this kind of, the table will be bare, and your kids decorated this. Your kids came up with this profoundly beautiful prayer altar on their own. And so that's another really beautiful thing, is seeing their creativity. And again, collectively, without saying a word to each other, again, the silence, just doing something like this. So that's something that we don't do every Sacred Space Sunday. We just do it on the one before Easter. So we missed doing that this year. So there's that. So this varies. The stations vary from month to month, just to kind of change things up a little bit. Another really great idea is to do sidewalk chalk outside and have them write their prayers down. I know we do that. I would encourage you guys to, if you're doing walks or have access to trails, little things that you see on the trails, flowers or acorns or feathers or whatever, to bring that back and create kind of a sacred space bowl. And there is one that we have over here. So this is kind of a variation. There's just dried flowers in there, some things that we've rocks. And it can be a nice focal point for the sacred space experience, and it can be really meaningful things that you all haven't encountered out in nature that can be brought into the home and kind of connect with nature in your home, inside the home. So we've also used having a big bowl of water and having rocks, a pile of rocks that they can say their prayers and then put them into the water. Again, it's that multi-sensory experience. So this is Sacred Space. Again, we spend about 7 minutes, but that can vary from your family and your kids' energy level. I would recommend doing something, a chiming, if you're going to have several different stations, or however you guys decide to do it. It can be really, really simple as just lighting a candle and coloring. That can be a really beautiful sacred space experience. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just, you guys are just curating space for them to maybe have an experience with God, or a little bit of peace, or just a little bit of downtime. So I look forward to the day that we can have sacred space here again. And if you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate. You can shoot me out an email. That'd be great. And it is just a pleasure to be able to have the privilege of experience this with your kids. So I thank you for that.